Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Cookiecast. Today on Cookiecast, it's the Darkest Timeline podcast. So unfortunately for you guys, you're stuck with me for the day. I'm sure there'll be some ranting and moaning about all sorts of stuff. Never know, there might be some movies and games in there for you movies and games fans. So here we go, this is Cookiecast, the Darkest Timeline podcast. Right then. Hello everybody. How you doing? It's me, Cookie, here on the Darkest Timeline podcast. It's summer, window open. It's a little bit later in the evening, so a little bit cooler. I'll have the window open all evening, get rid of some of the heat. All things you need to know. Right then. It's been an interesting old week. Well, last week was an interesting week. So it was Monday. Not that makes any difference for podcasting. Speaking of podcasting, I'm still working through my backlog of podcasts. It's just one of those things. Any hardcore podcast listener will tell you, you just end up with a backlog. I think I'm sort of getting to the point now, I think I might have mentioned this before, that I might be at critical mass for the number of podcasts that I've got, for the backlog that I've got. I just don't think I'll physically be able to get through all the podcasts that I've got. So there might be the odd one that might have to sort of fall away, and that's one of those. Kind of already have an idea of what that might be, but see how I get on, see if I can sort of pick up the pace. So I've been working through the backlog of Joe Rogan podcasts. There's been some interesting ones, some good ones. I listened to the one he did with Eddie Izzard. That was quite good. Generally quite entertained by Eddie Izzard. I've been for a lot of years. So nice to listen to that. Dave Lee Roth, that was a good one. C.T. Fletcher. Obviously. Not obviously, if you don't know, but I've been a fan of C.T. Fletcher's for quite a while. He's just had a heart transplant, so it was interesting to hear about that. But one I was really looking forward to is the Joe Rogan podcast that he did with Anthony Jeselnik. So going all the way back, the reason that I first heard of Anthony Jeselnik was that I'd seen Joe Rogan had done this podcast with him. Like, don't know who that is, never heard of him. And then, like the old saying about, you never see adverts for mattresses until you need to buy a mattress, and then adverts for mattresses are everywhere. Within like a couple of days of seeing this name, this Anthony Jeselnik seemed to be everywhere. So I watched the specials. The stand-up specials that he'd done, enjoyed those, enjoyed one more than another. Talked about it a couple of times on the podcast, don't need to sort of go through that again, rehash that. So I was quite looking forward to the Joe Rogan podcast. As I say, that's the first place that I heard his name mentioned. Put it on, listened to it, got so far in, realised that Joe Rogan does long podcasts. You know, I think the average is running at 3 hours. I think that's sort of the aim. The one he did with Alex Jones recently, I think that was 5 hours. One thing I noticed about the Anthony Jeselnik one was it was only 2.5 hours. And I say only 2.5 hours. I know a lot of people would sort of think that's quite a long thing. But like I say, in Joe Rogan podcast world, not very long. So I was like, oh, that's interesting. Only 2.5 hours. Wonder why. As it was, that became quite apparent. The first hour of the podcast was fine. And then there was just this real distinct drop-off. I think at the point I realised that they were talking about the weather was round about the time I realised that they clearly had nothing else to talk about. They clearly had run out of conversation, and they at that point were just eking it out. And I must say it was really disappointing. I've listened to like 3-hour podcasts that have felt like an hour. I've listened to 5-hour podcasts that feel like a couple of hours. This was a 2.5-hour podcast that felt longer. It really had very little substance in the back half. There was various points where I was kind of just like, just end it. Just say, well, thanks for coming. Nice to have sort of spoken to you. We'll leave it there. But no, kept going. So yeah, that was like quite a weird experience to, expect that something was going to be good, and then, yeah, it was quite a letdown, quite a substantial letdown. But generally the stuff that I've been catching up, the Joe Rogan stuff I've been catching up with, has been quite good. The one I'm listening to currently, which I've nearly finished, is the Sober October preview. So it's Joe Rogan, Bert Kreischer, Tom Segura, and Ari Shaffir, all getting together to decide what they're going to do for Sober October, and that is proper funny. I was laughing hysterically sat at work today listening to that. Just insanely funny. 3 of the 4 people in that room are 3 of my favourite comedians at this point in time, and yeah, just hilarious. So yeah, that's entertaining. I'm enjoying that at the moment. So what have we had this week? I'm trying to cut down on coffee. Part of that's intentional, part of it isn't. The best way to explain this is, it's been sort of a thing that I've known for many years that, excuse me, drinking. The yawning is probably something to do with cutting down on the coffee. Drinking vending machine coffee from work makes me really ill. I'll spare you the gory details, but I realised, like, the more you drink it, the more it makes you ill, and the more ill it makes you can have some really bad effects. And I recently was drinking a ridiculous amount of coffee from the vending machines. It wasn't like I was having like loads of trips to the machine. It was only like 4 trips in a day, but in those 4 trips it'd be like 2 double espressos and a mocha in the same cup. So if you think that 4 times a day, but yeah, it made me really ill. So I was like, right, I need to cut that out. But obviously, vending machine, it's readily available and it's free. So easy access. And I was having a conversation with Leanne the other day, and I was like, do you know something? I've just realised I don't think I've had a hot cup of coffee in over a week. Excuse me, sorry. I was like, it's been a while since I had a hot cup of coffee, because the coffee at work made me ill. I haven't bought one for ages. I haven't bought a cup of coffee. All I've really had is I've got into these caramel macchiato drinks that you can buy from the supermarket. A well-known coffee brand makes a cold caramel macchiato. I'm not going to say which brand because, well, I'm just not going to say which brand, but they do, and they're all right. For £1, you get a little thing, comes with a little straw, cool. So I've been drinking them like a couple a day, but the point was I hadn't had a hot cup of coffee, and I was like, it must be over a week. It must be over a week. Oh my god, I can't believe that. That's insane. I remember the last time I went that long without a hot cup of coffee, and then I remembered that I'd had a hot cup of coffee that morning, when I'd been sat in Morrison's. It was like, oh, I've had a cup of coffee today. So, other than that cup of coffee, it's Monday now. It was like Thursday, so it's like a week and a half since I stopped drinking coffee. And like I say, I've had one in that time. So part of it is intentional. Like I say, the vending machine coffee was making me really ill. The other part of it, I've just kind of cut it out. I will confess, a couple of days, especially over the weekend. Weekend was busy. I was hitting the energy drinks quite hard. I've had to fight the urge to have one this evening, to sort of, as you can see, to get me through. Oh jeez, man. I'm just tired, really tired at the moment. But obviously, going from a massive amount of caffeine every day to almost none, it's gonna take its toll, I imagine. So yeah, coffee, cutting down, certainly cutting down. Speaking of being in Morrison's on Saturday, I'd gone and I'd ordered, what did I order? Got a juice, like a little glass bottle of juice, a coffee, a smoothie, and some toast. Which, for the woman who served me, I might have ordered a little too much, shall we say. Unfortunately for her, this was my order, so that was that. But she was on her own, so I think it was quite a lot to have to do on her own, and there was a queue. So walked away, went and sat down, and me and the little one, well, the medium one, went and got a table, and we, she's got a juice, we were doing the juice thing. I was getting the cup, getting the straw, doing all that, and I'm watching the woman, and she's flapping around and running backwards and forwards, and I don't think they had the ingredients for the smoothie and things like that. But I was watching the queue of people, and the first woman that was waiting, sort of middle-aged lady that was waiting, seemed to be with her daughter and her little baby. After waiting for a little while, she just went and sat down. She could see that the woman was busy, and she could see that she wasn't going to get served anytime soon. And the woman had apologised to the people in the queue, and I think she said that she had a lot on, and whatever. But then the next lady in the queue, she was not happy. And it was an interesting thing to watch. I mean, obviously for me, I'd been served, I'd paid, I was just waiting for various bits of my order. So it wasn't like I was queuing and waiting. So it might have been different if I'd have been queuing. But she was livid, and there was the face, and there was the muttering, and there was the and I was just watching and was like, is it really the end of the world? You know, you can see the woman's busy. You can see that, you know, it's not like she's standing there not serving. She was doing stuff. But yeah, this woman was not happy. And then obviously, let's not forget that there's another woman in front of her that still hasn't been served yet. So the lady brought the coffee and the toast, I think. And I started buttering, sorting the toast out, chopping it up and all that sort of stuff. And then 30 seconds later, she appeared with the smoothie. So that was that. So then the woman that was behind me, or had been behind me in the queue, jumped back up. She got served. There was some confusion around whether they had green tea, and the lady didn't think they had any, but then there was green tea with something, and the lady was just saying, that's fine, I'll have that. And I'm still watching this other woman, and she is just getting worse and worse and worse, angrier and angrier, more livid. And at this point, I'm like, this woman is gonna kick off. She is gonna explode when she gets to the front of that queue. She is gonna go apeshit. So I'm like, in this situation, should I wait until she kicks off and then sort of address the situation and sort of say, hang fire. It's not the end of the world. Nobody's died. Yes, you've had to wait for your cup of coffee, but in the grand scheme of things, it's probably not a huge issue. Do I just leave it? Do I leave the people that work there to deal with it? Is it going to be a situation where it's going to involve other members of staff? How is this going to develop? But at this point, I was like, this is definitely a situation that is going to kick off. So the lady that was behind me, she got served, she got all the stuff, she went and sat down. Next, it's the lady, it's the angry lady, she's up. And I'm like, here we go, it's going to go. What can I get you? Oh, can I just have... And it was like, she went from a volcano that was about to erupt to as nice as pie. And I'm like, okay, I kind of felt like I could step down. But I was like, so you were angry, and it truly was the end of the world. It was such a personal insult to this woman that she wasn't getting served. And then nothing came of it. And I'm like, geez, imagine that amount of stress that was going on. But then I started thinking about it, I was like, I would probably be a bit like that. If I was in a situation where I had been made to wait for what I considered to be a long amount of time, I'd have been the same. I'd have been like, oh my God, I can't fucking believe this shit. I'd have been chuntering a bucket full. But when I finally got served, I'd have been like, oh yes, can I have? Manners cost nothing and all that. So yeah, that was just a strange little observation. Right. So, what have we got to talk about? Let's talk about podcasts. And namely this podcast. Not necessarily the Darkest Timeline podcast. The Cookiecast podcast. It's one of those things that it's quite a daunting thing. At various points I've talked about various aspects of podcasting. And it's a daunting thing. You're putting yourself out there in the world. You're in situations where You put in aspects of yourself out into the world, and the all the issues and the worry that goes with it. I've shared some of those on the podcast, spending X amount of time fearing that I was going to get sued for using a picture that I shouldn't have done. There's all these times that you're like, there's that piece of audio, can that be used, and stuff like that. And, places like YouTube have recently changed a lot of their rules. I know it's really strict these days. So there's that sort of stuff. You make yourself quite, I don't know if it's right, but you make yourself quite vulnerable by putting something that you've put a lot of time and effort into out into the world for anybody to see and for anybody to criticise. I think is another big thing. I've had a series of people comment on various podcasts at various points in time. I've had people pass on comments that have been made about the podcast, and at this point in time, all generally really positive. I had somebody comment on a podcast done a while ago, and their opening line was, great podcast, keep up the good work, and then went on to explain something that I'd got wrong in the podcast, but this really long detailed explanation. The day that I found out that people had been sending tweets to the podcast that I knew nothing about, finding that out whilst recording the podcast was a bit like, oh crap. And I still now miss tweets from people because I just forget to check at various points. Sorry, Stu. So yeah, it's nice that people are generally quite positive when they talk about the podcast and comment on things, podcast stuff that people can comment on. That's good. Daunting. Sometimes you get a good comment and that's more like oh my god, I can't believe that happened, or you get a like or something from somewhere. One of the things that is something that I do keep a very close eye on is numbers. I check it every day. I check multiple times a day. It's just part of my daily routine. It's just a way that I feel I can gauge how well the podcast is going, how well it's received, things like that. And nowadays there's all sorts of analytics you can get from your various outlets. YouTube, SoundCloud, iTunes, all of them will tell you information. And it's strange because just around about the time that I have the thought or I have the conversation, oh, nobody's really listening to the podcast. Oh, maybe the podcast is dying off. Maybe nobody's interested anymore. Maybe people don't want to listen. Maybe they're not podcasts that are interesting to people or anything like that. Almost as if by magic or clockwork or whatever, the next day when I check the numbers will have jumped massively. And that is quite daunting. One of the most listened to podcasts that we've had recently is one of these, one of the Darkest Timeline podcasts, and that is like, at the end of the day, there's no video. It's just a collection of pictures that I've collected here, there, and everywhere. There's no one. It's just me. No one else to talk to. So yeah, those numbers are like, whoa. That's a lot of people that listen to my voice for whatever reason. And I'm up and down around the fact that there are podcasts that we've had that have died off for various reasons. There are podcasts that we've had that are on hiatus. There are podcasts that we've had that are out of season. And there are times when podcasts are super busy and you're like, oh my god, when I can record them, but when will I get to do the coding? Oh, I can code them, but when will I get them uploaded to the internet? And then there are other times when it's like, my god, have I got enough to fill the next month. So those numbers are really important. And as always, when I get those good numbers, I say thank you to whoever you are that's listening. Some of the most interesting statistics are you can see places around the world where people listen. No surprises, York, England, usually gets quite a high hit for number of people listening. Shocker. You can almost chart where people are, oh, somebody listened in Hull, I wonder who that was. Somebody listened in Beverley, I wonder who that was. Because I know people who live in these places who go, oh, listen to the podcast. Shocking. But then it's like, when it's Russia, China, maybe not so much China, I don't even know if they'd be able to get it. America, huge listening base in America. America's often either top or second as a country, and then the stats get broken down into states and things, towns, cities, whatever. So that's always interesting to look at, and just the multitude of different places around the world where this podcast has travelled to. It's interesting, but it's daunting. But it's cool, but it's, there's a mixture of emotions there. So a thank you from me to my podcast listeners. Something I've started saying about the social media side of things. I have generally a fairly standard format for opening podcasts, and I have a fairly standard format for closing podcasts. In the business, it's called topping and tailing. And then, the music goes in and things like that. Something I've started saying recently is drop us a line. Let us know, whatever you want to let us know. But let us know when you want to come on the podcast. And that, generally is an open invitation. If you contact me and you're like, I'm a serial killer and I want to come and talk to you about how great it is to be a serial killer, you might not get a call back. But if you wanna come on and talk about other things, yeah, drop me a line, let me know. So back to the list. Games. We can talk games, we can talk movies, talk about a gift I got, and a special closer to today's podcast. I got a new game, which isn't strictly, that statement isn't strictly true. Once I've had a drink, I'll explain why. I got a game yesterday. Was it yesterday? I can't imagine it really matters, but let's go with yesterday. So I picked up, it's actually here next to me, Rory McIlroy PGA Tour. Anybody that tunes into this podcast for the games section probably just went, ugh. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I got a golf game. If you listen to last time's The Darkest Timeline, I was playing a different golf game. Shortest version is, I like a golf game. Can't get away from it. I tried to fight at that for various reasons. Back when it was Tiger Woods 2007. I don't know if I've told the story of that before. But me and Pete, who's been on the podcast before and is partially responsible for... well, no, that's not... is partially responsible for why the podcast is here, but only through the fact that he was a massive help in getting the podcast up and running and doing all the bits that I didn't know how to do, or helping me do the bits that I didn't know how to do. I had a demo disc back in the days of demo discs, and I'd played all the demos on the disc apart from a couple, and one of them was a demo for Tiger Woods PGA, Tiger Woods, whatever it was, PGA Tour 2007. I was like, never playing a golf game. But I'd exhausted all the other demos. So I was like, you know what? I'll give it a whirl. And I think it had like 2 or 3 holes from different courses. I might have told this story before. But I had a go, and I ended up staying up all night playing that demo of those 2 or 3 holes. Pete came around the next day, and I'm like, you are not going to believe this when I tell you that I've got a game for you, I've got a demo for you to play, and you won't believe what the game is. So I was like, it's Tiger Woods. He was like, you've got to be fucking joking. No way I'm playing a golf game. I was like, no. I said exactly the same thing. I was like, ain't no way, ain't no how. But I tried it, and believe me, I don't want to tell you this, but it was great. And then me and Pete ended up playing Tiger Woods for the entire day. I was like, I can't believe I'm about to say this, but I think I'm going to buy a golf game. And his answer was, you definitely should. This is great. Subsequently bought Tiger Woods 2007. And I think I had every Tiger Woods game from that point on, which I think was like 8, 9, 10. There was a PGA, there was a Masters one, which was terrible because you didn't get all the courses, and me and Phil worked out one day that it would cost way over £100 if you were going to buy everything you needed for that game. So the reason I say that this Rory McIlroy isn't new is I had this the day it came out, which, looking back at this game, I wonder if it says on the box actually, because I'm sure, like, I'm playing it and it keeps talking about 2015, and I'm like, well, did this game come out in 2015? There doesn't seem to be anything on the box, although this cover has been a reproduction by, no, yeah, 2015. Jesus. Game's been out 4 years. Fucking hell. Yeah, so I had it day one when it came out, and I played it, and I thought it was awful. When you play the championship stuff, when you play like, you know, the stuff, it'd give you like 3 holes, and you could only play 3 holes. There was a thing at the time that it didn't have all the courses. It was terrible. It was awful, and I traded it in immediately. And I was having a conversation with Tom recently, saying, oh, I'm playing the golf club. Oh, it's great, it's really good. And he was like, oh, you know, you want to be on Rory? I was like, I had that, it was rubbish. And I was like, you know, you could only do this, that, and the other. He was like, that's not true. He's like, all the courses are there, all this. So as time went on, I was like, maybe I should give Rory another go. So, like I say, got it yesterday, brought it back, got it installed. And then started playing. I was like, now I remember why I didn't like this game. You only play 3 holes on each course. You don't really get a feel for the game and all of this. So I text Tom. I remember why I didn't like this game. And he was like, you just need to change your settings. So I can't find a setting that says change it to this. So I googled it, and as I was googling it, he actually sent me the same thing I found on Google. And it was like, go here, change this setting, then you get the full round. So I'm like, okay. Went there, found what I was looking for, changed the setting, was like, cool, full round is now a thing. And it's right. They were right. The internet and Thomas were right. However, now I'm terrible at it, because now I have to muddle my way through 18 holes rather than 3, which usually results in me getting a bogey or above, which is not much fun. What I will say about this game is, yeah, it's 4 years old, but man, some of the graphics, like the character building mechanic that's in, like, when any game like that, you know, you put your character together, what sort of face you want and hair you want and nose you want. When you do that, it's terrible. The options are so limited that you just end up. I've got this guy and it's like, wow, he's got a moon face. His hair doesn't look anything like mine. I couldn't change like any real features. Terrible. Also, playing the golf club to playing Rory, I noticed that the commentary on Rory is really negative. And your golfer's always angry. If you miss a shot, he just loses it. It's like, wow, it's quite negative in a lot of ways. On the other side, being the ability to put power on your swing and then be able to spin a ball. At the end of the day, it's cheating, and it's something the golf club doesn't have. But it is fun. It does add that bit more fun. So yeah, I'll give that. I'll be playing that for a little bit, I imagine, and then, like any golf game, you hang on to them, and then every now and then, I fancy a round of golf. I'll stick, in this case, Rory on, and I'll have a go at that. I remember playing Tiger Woods 2007, and my character, my character, got that good that he could beat Tiger Woods. So maybe I can level my character up on this to be better than he is now. So yeah, let's have a look and see. Unfortunately, I still haven't watched any films. No, that's not. I was going to say that's not true, but then I was going to ruin something. So I'm glad I caught myself. Kind of not true. I have been watching it. It's not a new film. It's a film I've seen many times before. So yeah, I'll come back to that. Now that means I need to go back to my list. Because on my list it says no movies. Jesus, man. So tired. So I've been watching bits of movies on the internet. How do I explain that? There's like a website that Ed told me about where you can watch movies basically. I'll keep that as vague as I can. I've been watching Shazam. I really like that film. It's good. It's fun. I watched a little bit of Fighting with My Family. It seems fairly entertaining from what I've seen. I'll have to give that a proper watch. Been watching some DC animated stuff. Justice League Doom. That was quite good, but it was basically just an extended version of a Justice League episode from back in the 90s, was it? 90s maybe. What was the other one I watched that was quite good? Yeah, a couple of DC animated ones. Started watching Teen Titans versus the Justice League. That looks okay. I've only watched a little bit of that. I haven't watched any of the movies I got for my birthday. I'm going to have to try and make time to start getting back into watching some films. But as with everything, time just runs away with itself. So I got a gift. I got a gift from my good friend Thomas. Thomas Quinn, as you all know, podcast alum Thomas Quinn. Came and played golf. Came out for tea. Came to Eds and stuff. I was like, I've got you a present, but it hasn't arrived. I ordered it, but they said it's going to be a couple of days. I was like, well, whatever. Thanks for getting me something. Don't worry that it hasn't turned up. I know how these things go. And that was kind of that. Got a message from him on Friday. Oh, your birthday present's turned up. Okay, cool. It's like, it'll be on your desk on Monday, unless I drop it in over the weekend. Alright, cool. So I got to work this morning. Present. I'm like, cool. Like, this is how every Monday should start. I wonder if I can get that as a thing. I might have to speak to my manager about that. So I had to move it from where it was on my desk because I needed to put my laptop down and stuff. And I picked it up and I was like, whoa, that's heavy. I was like, okay, what is in this bag? Spoke to Tom. He was like, we have some breakfast. I'm like, yeah, I'll come with you. I'm not going to get anything, but I'll come with you. Because I'm doing a no carbs thing, apparently. Whatever. So he was like, have you opened your present? Like, no, I had to move it, but I haven't opened it yet. He was like, man, go and open it. So when we got back, went back to my desk, peeled the sellotape off the top of the bag. So there was 3 pieces of sellotape holding the bag shut. So I peeled the first one and I was like, okay, I can see in the bag, and what's in the bag looks like a bottle of alcohol. That's strange, because of everybody, Tom knows I don't drink. So why would he buy me a bottle of alcohol? That doesn't make any sense. I'm like, oh well, you know, have faith. He does know that you don't drink, so I sort of popped the next bit of sellotape. Could get a better look. Not a brand of alcohol I recognised. Definitely looks like a bottle of alcohol. Like, this is weird. This is really weird. I'm like, you know, the bottle looks kind of nice. It can probably go on a shelf somewhere, I guess. Seems a bit strange that Tom would buy me alcohol. Popped the 3rd piece of sellotape off. Went in the bag. Pulled out this bottle. Right, what the hell's going on here? Looked at it and was like, oh wow, didn't know this was a thing. So Tom has got me a bottle of non-alcoholic whiskey. Just going to let that one sink in for a minute. Now, to be fair, for my birthday, Paul got me, you all know Paul by now, Paul got me a 4-pack of non-alcoholic beers. Something that sort of goes back a ways. He bought some round one day when we were round at mine one evening, because he was like, I don't want to drink today, but you know, I thought I'd give these a whirl. Apparently they were they're cheap in comparison, obviously cheaper than beer and stuff. And he gave me one. He's like, yeah, you know, try it, and it was really nice. These Budweiser Black. So it's like little cans of Budweiser that are not, it's non-alcoholic lager. And they were really nice. And I'd say at the time, I was like, they're really nice. I'd definitely drink those as a thing. Paul got me a 4-pack of Budweiser Black for my birthday. Very much appreciated. Will admit, smashed the lot of them in that night. Thoroughly enjoyable. So, non-alcoholic beer, yep, get that. Non-alcoholic whiskey, I'm like, what is this? By this point, Tom's at my desk. I'm like, what is the deal? Oh yeah, non-alcoholic whiskey. I'm like, okay. He's like, yeah, so when we have like whiskey and cigar night and everyone's sat around drinking whiskey, I thought it'd be nice that for you to be able to have a whiskey even though you don't drink. It's like, oh, you know, very kind, very thoughtful gift. Very Tom. Tom's a very kind and thoughtful person. So no surprises, he would get a kind and thoughtful gift. Not the first good gift he's bought. So I'm like, oh, cheers mate, that was cool. There was a little part of me that was like, so this is where we're at, is it? Non-alcoholic whiskey. How the mighty have fallen. Because obviously, I don't drink. I don't drink through choice. I've had probably longer in my life not drinking than drinking. You know, I've got a shelf downstairs that is just full of various different bottles of whiskey. Some might say that's a waste. Whatever. I got to the age of 36 having never experienced a hangover. And then I experienced a hangover. And all I could think was, if you knowingly know that this is what's going to happen to you, why would anybody ever drink? Because I honestly thought I was dying. And then that just happened every time I drank, no matter how much I drank. It was every single time. And I was just like, I'm out. I can't do this anymore. And that's why I don't drink. But yeah, there was a little part of me that was like, I think that seems to be the theme at the moment. There are these little bits of the, I suppose, of my youth that are holding on with their claws. They're gasping their last breaths. There's a few things that I've noticed recently that sort of, I'm going to have to let that go to be able to do this part of life, and I'm going to have to let that go. And I've let many things go over the years, but these are like the last bits, the last remnants of, I suppose, youth. So yeah, a lovely, thoughtful gift, but there was a little flutter of, oh. So yeah, I brought that home, showed it to Lam. She was super impressed. You know, non-alcohol free whiskey. We had a little sniff while we were sat at my desk, me and Tom, and it's, you know, it smells like whiskey. I can't say I've had a taste. We did sort of work on the principle that we could have probably had a taste there and then because it was non-alcoholic, but probably didn't think that it would have gone down too well. People were like, oh, drinking at work. So, you know, them's the breaks, I guess. So, last time I was talking about the fact that me and Rob were going to start going to the gym on a lunchtime. And I packed my gym bag and I went to work with a bad back and a gym bag and never went to the gym. But as I said at the time, I was definitely ready to go back to the gym, even if I never went. And that was, again, it was kind of sad. I was like, oh man, I was totally ready to go to the gym. That was the Monday. Tuesday was busy. Wednesday did a podcast. That's actually true. Did 2 podcasts back to back. Thursday, podcast coding. Friday during the day, podcast coding. But through what was actually quite a busy week, I'd still managed to find time to sort of waste, like pissing time up the wall, just sitting around, watching rubbish on TV. I don't watch TV. Leanne watches TV. I get sucked into things when I'm like eating tea and stuff. Stuff that doesn't further the cause in any way. So I realised that I was wasting all this time. Friday came. I was like, right, went out to the car, got the gym bag out of the boot with the bad back and the bad foot and the bad everything. Brought the gym bag in, emptied it, took the towel out, took the shower gel out, took the deodorant out, basically just stripped it down. Was like, don't need these things, not going to the gym. So that was that. And then about an hour later, I put the gym kit on, threw the bag in the car, and I went to the gym. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, it finally happened. The big dog was back in the gym. Yes, it was 11:30 at night. Yes, there was only one person there when I got there. Yes, they left very quickly after I got there, which was fine by me. Yes, that meant I was the only person left in the gym. And my intention was cardio. No matter how much I love lifting weights, no matter how much I love that kind of training, that is not the right answer right now. So I was like, here's the plan. Go to the gym, get on the treadmill, find the last long time you were on the treadmill, because you can store it and save like your workouts and stuff. find the longest one that you're on, press go, knock the speed down a little, and just stay on that treadmill until it's finished. So it turned out it was like 40 minutes, including like cool down and stuff. So I was like, perfect, let's go with that. Started the treadmill, knocked the speed down a bit, and just did it. The reason I said earlier that I'd been watching a film was I really fancied watching the film Wanted, for whatever reason. Take that as you will. And when I was scrolling through Netflix while I'm on the treadmill, Wanted was on there. So I was like, let's watch Wanted. Really helped. Really good distraction from the being on the treadmill. And I was just walking. Did a tiny little bit of running, and I do mean tiny. Like, could have been 5 seconds, 10 seconds, something. But I stayed on that treadmill for 40 minutes. What ended up being 45 minutes with a cool down. And I did it. I got off the treadmill. My foot was hurting, my back was hurting, but I'd done it. And I went and lifted a little bit of weights, and I mean a little bit, like I did 5 sets of 10, lifting a really light bar, 3 sets of 10 barbell curls, and some tricep pull downs and face pulls with the rope on the tricep machine, on the cable machine. And that was basically it. And I was out the door. Drums in the car. I was like, oh, warm evening. I was like, oh, I remember that time I saw a fox up here. I wonder, this feels like, it's quite a calm evening, but it's still a summer's evening. This feels like an evening where I might see that fox. Got in the car, reversed out of the parking space I was in. Fox. Took a handful of pictures of the fox trotting through the car park, and then I drove home. So there, finally, ladies and gentlemen, I can confirm that I have been back to the gym. That was Friday. Today is Monday. I can confirm, ladies and gentlemen, that Friday was not the only time I went to the gym since then. So Friday I went, Saturday I didn't. Sunday, I'm in the gym. Again, went last night. Again, same thing, got there was one person there. They left shortly after I did. I did weights first this time, because you're supposed to do weights before cardio for weight loss purposes. A little bit of light weights, nothing heavy, nothing too strenuous, just getting back into the groove. And then I jumped on the treadmill and I used Friday's workout, and it was just under 4k. So I'm like, right, the objective is to do 4k, to do the running, do a bit of running, do all that. I'm not gonna lie, it was difficult, it was hard. Running, I was sweating buckets. I didn't really run for very far, for very long, but I did run. My foot started hurting 20 minutes in, like really badly. But I stayed on that treadmill. I got 45 minutes done. I did over 4k, and then I went home. And at this point in time, it is... Ooh, new podcast episode. Who is it? Oh, Bill Burr. It is 20 to 11 Monday night, and I will basically stop this podcast very shortly. I will transfer this podcast to the other computer, and then I'm off to the gym. So, it's early doors and it's really hard, but we might be back. Like I say, cardio's the focus. I've changed my diet again, so I'm hoping that with the combination of some good solid cardio, almost no carbs, I'm basically just eating vegetables at the moment, with a healthy dose of protein mixed in. I'm hoping to start seeing some results, and that'll only come by sticking at it. So I'll keep you guys posted with how that goes. Let you know what I'm doing in the gym. Get some big workouts going eventually. And yeah, that is that. So I will see you next time. Until then, I will say bye. Bye. So there we go. What do you think of that? Another one in the bag. Another week gone. Another week closer to whatever it is you're looking forward to. Cool. YouTube watchers, might not be lots to watch on these ones, but still subscribe, click the bell for notifications, drop us little comments, things like that. All the good stuff. Everybody jump over to thecookiecast.com, check us out over there, check us out on our social media feeds, and send us some social media love. Why not? Drop us an email, tell us when you're going to come on the podcast, things like that. Until next week, I'm going to say bye, and I'll see you then. Bye.